Something ancient seems to linger above our world, hidden in the silence of orbit. It drifts without announcement, without identity, and without a clear origin, inviting one of the most enduring aerospace mysteries of the last century. For decades, observers have looked up and wondered whether a dark shape circling Earth could be a relic far older than humanity's ventures into space. This is the story of the object often called the Black Knight satellite, a name that hints at its enigma but reveals almost nothing about what it truly is. The mystery begins not with a single discovery, but with scattered clues separated by years, nations, and technologies. Each fragment added a new layer of intrigue until the narrative took on a life of its own. Today, the idea persists that a 13,000-year-old object might be orbiting Earth, quietly tracing the same path it has followed since long before recorded history. When the story first emerged, it felt like a puzzle assembled from mismatched pieces. Reports from early radio operators, unusual signals, military observations, and NASA photographs were all woven together into a single, haunting question. Could humanity be sharing orbit with a relic from deep time? The earliest roots of the legend trace back to the 1920s, when radio pioneers noticed signals that behaved differently from anything transmitted on Earth. These long-delayed echoes returned to their receivers seconds after being sent, far too late to be explained by normal atmospheric reflection. Some researchers later suggested these echoes could have originated from an object in space. Others dismissed the idea, arguing that complex atmospheric layers or equipment limitations were more likely explanations. Yet the curiosity planted by those early anomalies never fully faded. Decades later, in the early era of orbital surveillance, the United States detected an unidentified object in polar orbit. At the time, neither superpower had launched anything capable of maintaining such a path. The object's appearance confused observers, leading some to believe it was evidence of another intelligence placing hardware above Earth. As more details emerged, the situation grew murkier. Additional tracking suggested the object's orbit was unusual but not impossible. Eventually, analysts concluded that the object could have been a piece of man-made debris, though there was no definitive confirmation. Still, the sighting added fuel to a narrative already growing more complex. Over time, these independent events began merging into a single tale. The idea of a solitary satellite in a polar orbit, long before human technology existed, created a compelling foundation for speculation. Then came the images that would bring the Black Knight into global consciousness. In 1998, during a mission to the International Space Station, NASA released photographs showing an irregular, dark object drifting near the station. The shape appeared sharp, asymmetric, and almost sculptural. To many, it looked mechanical. To others, it seemed like a natural piece of thermal insulation torn loose during the mission. NASA identified it as exactly that, a fragment of a protective blanket that had come free during work outside the station. The images, however, circulated widely, separated from their context and absorbed into the growing myth. The object's angular form and dark surface invited speculation, and the name Black Knight spread across forums, books, and documentaries. What had once been a technical mishap became, through reinterpretation, a visual anchor for a sprawling mystery. Over time, researchers, hobbyists, and theorists attempted to connect every odd signal, unidentified object, or strange orbital report to the same phenomenon. The result was a story far larger than any single event. Yet beneath the layers of speculation, the core question remains intriguing. Could an artificial object of ancient origin actually orbit Earth? If you enjoy stories like this, consider subscribing for more. Scientists have long examined the theoretical lifespan of objects in near-Earth orbit. Over millennia, gravitational forces, atmospheric drag, and solar radiation gradually shift or degrade orbiting bodies. For something to remain aloft for more than 10,000 years, it would require either an exceptionally high and stable orbit or ongoing correction, capabilities far beyond known ancient civilizations. Most researchers argue that any object maintaining a low orbit for that long would eventually fall to Earth. This is one of the strongest reasons the scientific community views the 13,000-year claim as implausible. Nevertheless, the topic persists in public imagination because it touches on a broader and enduring curiosity, whether evidence of ancient intelligence, human or otherwise, might one day be found somewhere within our planetary environment. Speculation about extraterrestrial probes often references the concept of long-term automated exploration. Theoretical models propose that advanced civilizations could seed regions of space with monitoring devices designed to operate independently for thousands or even millions of years. By that reasoning, it would not be impossible for such a device to exist. However, this remains hypothetical and lacks direct evidence. The Black Knight legend gained further traction through misinterpretation of scientific studies on long-delayed radio echoes. Some early researchers attempted to map the delay patterns and thought they resembled star charts pointing to the Epsilon Bootes system. Later re-examinations found no reliable correlation and the data did not support the claim. Yet the idea remained compelling, suggesting to some that the signals might have been a message or beacon from elsewhere. The historical record also includes reports of early space surveillance catalogues noting objects that were later reclassified or identified as known satellites. These administrative uncertainties fueled additional speculation, merging routine tracking anomalies with the larger mystery. Over time, any unidentified object in orbit became a candidate for association with the Black Knight, even when the evidence lacked connection. Photography added another layer to the confusion. The 1998 images, though well documented by NASA, continue to circulate as visual confirmation of the object's existence. Many viewers are unaware that the shape changed position and orientation dramatically over the course of the photographs, behavior consistent with lightweight debris tumbling in microgravity. The material also matched the insulation lost during the mission. While the explanation is straightforward, the aesthetic of the object still invites curiosity. Stories thrive not only on facts, but on the imagery that surrounds them. Despite strong terrestrial explanations for each element of the Black Knight narrative, the legend endures for several reasons. It represents the intersection of early radio experimentation, Cold War aerospace secrecy, and modern internet-driven speculation. It also reflects a human desire to find patterns in ambiguity and to search for meaning in the unknown. The idea of an ancient satellite orbiting Earth offers a narrative that bridges past and future, blending archaeology with space exploration. It raises questions about how we interpret signals, images, and anomalies in an era when information travels faster than verification. Scientific inquiry demands careful separation of observation and interpretation. Each component of the Black Knight story can be traced to known events: atmospheric radio effects, Cold War tracking challenges, misidentified debris, and common spaceflight occurrences. None of these pieces require an ancient satellite to exist. Yet the legend persists precisely because it remains open-ended. It is not a solved mystery, but rather a collection of explanations that outweigh the extraordinary claim. Still, the idea continues to inspire curiosity about the limits of human knowledge. Space remains vast, and our understanding of what surrounds Earth continues to evolve. Modern tracking systems now monitor tens of thousands of objects, but smaller fragments still escape detection. In this environment, unexplained artifacts could still appear, though they are far more likely to be human-made remnants than visitors from distant civilizations or ancient epochs. The Black Knight story also serves as a case study in how myths evolve from fragmented information. Small anomalies can accumulate into grand narratives when viewed collectively, rather than individually. It reminds us that context is essential and that extraordinary claims demand thorough investigation. At the same time, the narrative encourages continued exploration. Even when an explanation is likely mundane, the process of inquiry sharpens our understanding of the world and our place within it. The Black Knight may not be a 13,000-year-old artifact, but the fascination surrounding it reflects a timeless desire to explore beyond the familiar. As long as humans look upward and wonder what might be orbiting silently above, stories like this will continue to emerge. They invite us to question what we know, to examine what we imagine, and to remain open to new discoveries. The mystery endures not because of evidence, but because the sky has always held secrets that challenge our understanding. Whether the Black Knight is merely a patchwork of misinterpretations or something yet to be fully understood, its legacy lies in the curiosity it inspires. It is a reminder that exploration begins with a question, and that even in the era of satellites and space stations, the unknown still waits patiently in the dark.